103.2 FM.
From Leyland to Longridge.
And Wood Plumpton to Walton Ledale.
It's your community.
Your radio.
Your Preston FM.
And that's where you are. And keep the messages coming in. Don't forget it's studio@preston.fm, studio@preston.fm, or you can, of course, tweet, or you can phone, or you can even write a letter to us. So whichever way you want to make contact with us at Preston FM, we would love to hear from you. Now, sadly, the war in the Middle East continues with the death toll rising daily. Here in Preston, we have an ongoing war of words over the raising of the Palestinian flag over the town hall. Last Thursday, I spoke with the leader of Preston City Council, Peter Rankin, and today I'm pleased to say that in the studio right now, it's the leader of the Conservative group here in Preston, Cllr Fazackley. So can I welcome you to Preston FM?
Thank you.
And lovely to meet with you. As I said, we had the leader of Preston City Council in the studio last Thursday, and we had lots of questions coming in. If that request had have come to yourself as leader of the council, what would have been the response, and how would you have dealt?
Well, certainly I wouldn't have dealt with it individually. I'd have made sure that we had a discussion amongst my group and hopefully amongst other members of the council. I think one of the things that's come over very clearly is the fact that people writing in have been complaining about a delegated decision made very quickly without any consultation. I don't think, and we might say, people might say we're talking retrospectively here, but categorically I would not have made that decision on my own, nor would I have allowed one of my colleagues on the shadow cabinet to make that decision on his or her alone.
Do you think, from either side, a flag should have been put on the town hall?
No, I believe very strongly about that. I think historically we used to have, I think it was called a civics committee. And that civics committee would make those sort of decisions relative to the city and its activities. Subsequently, we had a protocol. Now, that protocol was really within the discretion of the cabinet. A protocol, of course, just is an advisory thing, it's an etiquette thing. And I think it was August 14th last year, it was decided to make a policy. That policy was cabinet policy decision, and it went through. Now, from there, that's where the confusion's arisen, I think. Having set a policy, which is really effectively the instruction how you can operate, I think transferring via those different stages I've just spoken about, I think it lost something in the translation.
Mm. And I mean, we don't have Councillor Peter Rankin here to put his side of the issue regarding if that decision was taken alone. I know since then there has been a brief response from the media who say that they initially had made a mistake, saying that Councillor Rankin did make that decision to fly the flag, and in fact that the decision was taken by the cabinet member for communities and the environment.
That's as I understand it, that's right. Peter, being leader, presumably has taken the toll of being the leader and has accepted responsibility for it. But as you rightly say, the responsibility lies with the cabinet member for communities and environment. And
what do you think, if any, damage has this done to the cohesion of communities within the city?
Well, first of all, the local newspapers and the local media generally have had a big input in the sense of people writing in, ringing in. I myself have had a significant number of emails, and surprisingly from not only all over the country, but from all over the world. Now, different views held, obviously, and we listen to them, some of which we respond to, some of which are no more than attacks. It's been an issue which I think, in retrospect, should have been dealt and handled better.
Do you think there was any possibility that the flag was raised because of pressure from the demonstration taking place here in Preston?
Well, a decision had been made, of course, before that demonstration took place. I wasn't there at the time, but I had someone in the city centre who just happened to be ringing me up and was giving me an eyewitness event of it. As you say, there were some. It's questionable how many people were there, actually. Some people have said hundreds, some people have said tens, so not being there, I wouldn't know. But at that time, the decision was made, I think, to raise the flag for a very short period and then revert to normal. That's a compromise which, again, I don't think should have been activated.
And when was the first time that you knew about the issue of the flag being raised on the town hall?
Thursday evening, I think it was.
So that was after the kind of
decision
backlash and the furore of...
Well, I think the furore was on a Friday, wasn't it?
Yes, that was first thing Friday.
And on late Thursday evening, it came to my attention that something was going on with the flag.
I mean, we had at Preston FM quite a few emails and contact from the public, and one is from a person who contacted us today saying, do you think Jewish people in Preston feel alienated and unwelcome in the city by the raising of the Palestinian flag?
Well, clearly, only events as they happen in the future will determine that. But if I was thinking about it, I would think it's not helpful at all, is it? And that's not making it any issue with regard supporting one side or another. It's simply saying, whatever you do, you're going to alienate someone if you put an individual flag up. And I think that's a big issue. And that's why we clearly defined the numbers of flags and which type of flags had to go up under the protocol and then under the policy. And those were specific flags, non-national, except for the Union Jack, of course. And then there's some issue really about a delegatory authority with regard to the placing of national flags.
And I do understand that there is a peace flag that can be flown.
Yes,
can you tell us a little about the peace flag?
Well, only that to me it seems a compromise. Very few people know anything about it. We do know there is one, and I think it was probably set on the basis some years ago that it would help in the support of the idea of non-conflict rather than supporting individuals.
And I understand that you did make a statement at the time saying such a decision shows little respect for the council as a whole and gives the impression that it speaks for all the citizens of Preston. Is that the way you still feel that, you know, that the situation is seen around the world and outside the city? Yes.
There's some argument as to the numbers on either side of this issue. There are people telling us that a lot of people have been writing in supporting of the action, others saying categorically, no, we're not in support. I've seen a lot of evidence from all over the world, including London as well, particularly. There's a lot of activity going on in London indicating that Preston is a bit stupid doing this. Now, that's personalised, isn't it, and subjective, but I actually believe we should not have done it. Categorically, we should not have done it. And that's why when we developed the policy with officers, there's a clear schedule of flags which could be flown. And those flags are flags which represent specific aspects of Preston, hopefully linking to other people. You've got the Commonwealth flag, you've got the Armed Forces flag, you've got the Guild flag, you've got St George's flag, of course, and you've got the Lancashire flag and the Commonwealth flag. I think those are the 6 which are clearly defined that we can show in addition to the Union Jack. Now, beyond that, that's where the circumstances start to get a bit fuzzy. Now, if you read the report in August 2013, which I just mentioned, that's what I've just said is clearly defined. When you come to the annual council meeting, I think it was on June the 5th, at that stage, the responsibilities for each individual cabinet member are clearly stated. They're written down and they're in force. Nowhere does it say anything about delegatory powers to a particular cabinet member to do the things that have been done. Now, there's talk that it's lost something between the original cabinet and council meetings and the policy. That might be so, and that's what needs reviewing, and that's why I'm very clear that it shouldn't be an individual decision. It should be the subject, as it used to be, of discussion amongst groups.
And will that now be reviewed then?
Well, we're hoping to put forward a notice of motion to the next council meeting. When I say we're hoping, clearly it has to be fed in through the process, but that's something we are very clear about, because there's an indication from elsewhere that the council in total was responsible for this, and I want it made clearly defined the council in total was not responsible for this. It was an individual or individuals' decision-making process.
And the kind of feedback that you were getting was mainly from people who were really quite surprised that this had been done? Mainly because we put a letter to the LEP to determine our position on this, the fact, or what happened with regard to the decision-making. And I want, just as I said, want to make it very clear that we're involved in that decision-making process. That went into the LEP the other day, and at that stage, that's when I started to get emails, and I've got to say, mainly in support of the attitude we took. Because I know in councils such as Bradford and I think Tower Hamlets and one other place, they raise the flag with the same kind of response and the same kind of issues that it's awakened here in Preston.
Well, particularly in Tower Hamlets, because they've got ongoing problems in addition to that.
That's right,
well, haven't they? And so yes, I can understand it. I mean, people are saying you're representing us, represent us properly, and not automatically put us in a position that we don't necessarily want to be in.
So what do you think should happen now? As I say, certainly you have seen, you've received, I have seen, we've received at the radio station lots of comments from people from whatever background, from whatever ethnic minority about what has happened. What should happen now? Should a statement be made? Should it be a public apology? What should go forward?
Well, there has been an apology made, of course.
Yes.
And I don't see... What we're hoping to do is have a discussion at council via a notice of motion, if we can get that on the agenda paper. I'm also wondering whether, as part of the follow-up process, and I'm chairman of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, whether, in fact, we can do something about bringing it forward and examine people via the O&S Committee. If we can do that, I'd like to do that, because I really believe, and I don't want to make a political point about this, I want to make a point about Preston. And it's important that the view held about Preston throughout the country and throughout the world is one which is positive and professional. I think in this particular instance, because it precipitated something very quickly, I think perhaps we fell down on the standards that we would hope to extend.
Right. Just on another subject, whilst you're with us, of course, today is the commemoration of World War I. I take it quite a busy day for you.
Yes.
What are your thoughts and reflections on what we're doing here in Preston?
Well, this morning, of course, there was the service on the railway station commemorating those ladies who in the 1915 or onwards were providing sustenance to the troops passing through Preston. I was there. In a practical sense, perhaps a railway station is not the ideal occasion for that, because of course you get drowned out by trains passing through. But yes, quite a lot of people attended that. This evening there'll be the commemorative service in the Minster, which I will be attending, followed by the flag market, the candlelight procession, what have you. Individually, I'm hoping to be able to do that at home as well, because I feel very strongly that we should be commemorating it. And yes, that's my feeling about it. My father was in the First World War. He was also in the Second World War. And I used to hear stories of what was going on. I think it's important that it is remembered.
Lovely. Well, Councillor Cllr Fazackley, can I thank you for taking time out of what I know is a very busy day for coming into the Chat City studio today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
103.2 Preston FM.
Your community.
Your radio.